Wait for it. Wait for it. And we're live. Hey, all you crazy sci-fi and fantasy fans. It's time for your daily dose of shenanigans over here at the Blasters and Blades podcast. Just a couple of nerdy veterans, a Stabby chaos coordinator, and one chief Shenanigator geeking out over our science fiction passions and fantastical fantasies. A place where magic is king, the sky is the limit, and space is the place. We are the podcast that puts the fun in dysfunction. So without further ado, we're going to let our guest, Miss Gabrielle Wanek. Oh, I should have asked you how to pronounce that before we got started. I never remember that.
It's okay. Wanek.
Wanek. Miss Gabrielle Wanek is going to introduce herself to our listeners and viewers at home.
Hi, guys. I'm Gabrielle Wanek. I am the author of Songs of Ash and Dawn, and I have no idea what I'm doing.
I mean, I've been doing this since 2016, and I still have no idea what I'm doing. So you're in good company.
Yeah, exactly.
But at least, you've got the dogs to keep you company. If you haven't checked it out, because we list all of people's stuff, dear listener, in the show notes, and she talks lovingly about her doggos. And as a dog lover myself, I just took a moment to read that. All right. So before we get started, we do have to decide if you get to stay. So we do have the religion questions. Are you ready for this?
Oh boy, let's go.
All right. Star Wars, Star Trek, or Firefly?
Star Trek.
Okay, what about Star Trek appeals to you?
So, I'm going to be honest. I actually have only seen, in chronological order, the first 3 Star Wars, and that was with a guy who then broke up with me during the 3rd one.
Oh, wow. That would be traumatic, I guess.
And I never saw any more.
Understood.
And just my family used to watch Star Trek from time to time, and it was always playing on the background. So it was always just kind of there.
Okay. That's a good reason.
And I have never seen Firefly.
You should fix that. It's good.
I've heard good things about it. I just haven't gotten around to watching it.
Yeah, I really love it. I wish they'd given us more. It's one of those ones up there but it was from Fox Entertainment where good shows go to die. So, I still haven't forgiven them for Terra Nova.
Oh.
Did you ever watch that?
I watched bits. I didn't watch a lot of it.
I loved that one, and so of course they canceled it.
I feel like a lot of good series get canceled very early on before they get the chance to thrive.
Yeah, and this was before all the streaming stuff where you could get more of a chance of at least a better arc because they could record it because they're not when they do it with the streaming, they're less counting individual eyeballs and more overall memberships. And so the guy that pays for the membership and never has time to watch it, his dollars still help towards getting the good shows out too. Then it just comes down to whether the people making those decisions have taste and class, and that's yet to be determined. But yeah, so I wonder if those were made today, whether we'd get sequels, we'd get more.
I feel like that would depend really how animated the fan base would be. That would probably help a lot. But also, who knows at this rate? Because, some great shows turn into absolute garbage. And then they still keep going and never end.
And then other shows that were absolute garbage, they pull off line and shame and pretend like it never happened.
Yeah, exactly.
So you never know. I do think the theaters, or excuse me, the companies making the entertainment are starting to realize that people want apolitical. They just want to have fun. So I'm hoping we get a resurgence of that instead of either side preaching at us. That's my hope anyway. We'll see whether I'm right or overly optimistic.
Hope and wishes die very easily.
Don't crush my dreams, Gabrielle.
I try not to.
Are you writing like the grimdark stuff? Is that what you're doing right now? You're like practicing?
No, I don't try to. I try not to be dark. But I still somehow always end up there.
Were you a Poe fan growing up? You were reading Edgar Allan. Is that what this is about?
No. I'm talking about movies.
No, I know. I'm just wondering if you had like this angsty goth face that explains everything.
I did at one point. Okay, I did have an angsty goth face at one point. I think most girls did at one point have at least a little bit of it.
I'm old enough where everything was the emo with the Kurt Cobain fans.
That's true.
Rest his soul. So I think I just proved that I'm older than dirt, though. So all right. Because we are polytheistic here at the Blasters and Blades podcast, Game of Thrones, The Wheel of Time, or Chronicles of Narnia.
Game of Thrones. Are we talking about the book or are we talking about the movie or the show?
Dealer's choice. You get to pick.
Ooh. Game of Thrones was good in the beginning for the show. Great show at the beginning. Then they killed it for no reason. And then it's like the books were very hard for me to digest. I don't do a lot of that sexual stuff.
Understood.
Wheel of Time, not entirely certain what that is, going to be honest.
It's a dense fantasy prose by Robert Jordan. It's interesting. I've read parts of it. The writing style is hard to get into, but it's a product of its time too. I mean, it was written in the 80s and 90s, I think. Writing styles have changed. There's a lot more plain language now than we used to see back then. So his writing style is a lot more similar to Tolkien than what you would see in a modern fantasy.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. Yeah, but maybe I'll try that one. That sounds like a good one. But Chronicles of Narnia, first movie, fantastic. The books were pretty good. I think I cut off at like the third book before I more or less got yelled at because I was in the Catholic school. And they decided, hey, this book needs to be banned.
Wait, the Catholic school didn't like the Chronicles of Narnia?
They didn't like Golden Compass. They didn't like a bunch of stuff. Oh, Harry Potter too. Never read Harry Potter because of that.
Wasn't C.S. Lewis Catholic?
I don't think that they liked Aslan.
Okay.
I don't know how they exactly did that or why they did that. They just eventually, the one time I went back to get the next book, none of the books were there and they said they don't belong here anymore.
I went to public school, so we didn't have that problem. And I did go to a Jesuit college, but they didn't care because it was college.
Yeah. And I just never really pursued it after that because you lose interest. You're young.
Yeah, you kind of grow out of certain phases for series.
Yeah.
That makes sense. All right. So one of the crying shames of adulthood is that we stop asking each other the important questions. But thanks to the generosity of our sponsors, we are bringing that back. And I'm going to ask you, Gabrielle, what is your favorite dinosaur?
I feel like mine's an easy one, just because, and it's also kind of a classic, the Allosaurus.
Okay. Why the Allosaurus?
Because it's not as iconic as the T-Rex.
Okay.
But it's also just as formidable. And also I liked the fact that I actually have a tooth of it over there, that it's serrated edge of the tooth.
Where did you get it at like a dig site or?
We were going around to some shops. I don't remember where we were, but we were traveling for ski season and we stopped in the shop because we were cold. And it was me, my brother, and a bunch of other friends. And we stopped and my parents met us there because we were doing lunch. And I saw it and I'm like, ooh, that's cool. And I remembered it. And then we came back for the summer and it was still there. And I'm like, that's mine.
Now, when you say ski season, do you mean you were doing ski sports as competitively, or just it was winter and you were out, family?
It was winter and we were out. We were out in like Utah, some Montana area.
Cool.
Skiing family.
Yeah, is that something you still do?
Not since I got my concussion a while back.
Yeah, that'll do it. Joke.
You hit a mogul for the first time and you go wrong and you arc right into a tree.
That'll do it.
Yep, that'll do it. Kind of screws up a lot of things.
Yeah, I got my concussions a little bit more aggressively, but either way, they all suck.
I feel like concussions are just not good for people in general.
Not at all. I don't recommend them. 0 stars. All right. So we are civilized human beings here at the Blasters and Blades podcast. We are no longer knuckle dragging troglodytes. So coffee or tea, and how do you take it?
Chai tea.
Okay. Do you drink it any special way? I know some people add accoutrements, seasonings, toppings, whatever you want to call it.
No. I just drink it straight.
Okay.
I'm boring.
Nothing boring about what you like and what you like. I mean, do you drink other kinds of tea or just chai?
my mom makes this ginger and mint tea from scratch, which is super good.
Cool. So she does she grow the herbs that get added, or does she?
She grows everything. Yeah.
Oh, that is cool. So I'm trying to think, like, what do you do to dry them out? Do you like have to hang them out?
She muddles them. She doesn't dry them out. She muddles them.
What does that mean?
Basically, she pounds them into a paste and then mixes it and lets it sit in the water until it eventually integrates.
Oh, so you can only make it with the fresh leaves.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then she puts giant hunks of ginger in it and boils it.
So we have
gingery.
We have like a tea store here where they will make you your own like blends, but they've got the various leaves and then you just going to combine them into your container, which is not quite the same thing, but I think they have to dry those out. I don't know how that works.
You can either dehydrate or freeze dry.
Yeah, I've been looking into that because I started canning food, and now I'm like, oh, like being able to preserve what I grow. If I grow like something would be kind of nice too. So I've been looking into it. But dehydrators are expensive.
So freeze dryers are expensive. I have one. I actually currently have one dehydrator downstairs, and it was like $100.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. I might have to go offline and get the model number so I know what to look for.
I mean, they're all pretty good. I get the big ones because I also produce food as like gifts and stuff like that, and I sell to friends and stuff like that.
What do you like to make?
I make jerky.
Okay.
I make homemade jerky.
Can't go wrong with that. That's a big thing in the South. We like our jerky.
It is also a big thing in the Midwest where I'm from.
Okay. Yeah, it's farm country up there, right? Like where you're at. That makes sense.
Canning, anything to preserve for winter.
Yeah, that's can't go wrong with that. So obviously, like we're here to talk about in the second half of the show, you talk about your book that but you didn't start off presumably saying one day I'm going to write a book. Never read one, but I'm going to write one. So how did you discover your love of all things speculative fiction? Like walk us through that journey for you.
Of just getting into the writing mode, or you mean, or learning?
Well, finding your love of the thing that led to you wanting to write the thing.
So you're going to think this is absolutely ridiculous. So in high school, probably freshman, sophomore year, we had a teacher who gave us extra credit, like up to almost 50% if we rewrote part of a book we were reading in our own style. Oh. And I went through and I chose, what was it, Lord of the Flies.
Good book.
And rewrote half of it from all female children on the island. And how different that would have been. Oh,
so what was your conclusion? How different was it?
They still all killed each other.
Are you familiar that it's the Lord of the Flies, after the book was written by a couple years, there was an actual Lord of the Flies incident where kids were actually marooned on an island?
I've heard that.
Yeah, they were from the parochial school from the Tongan Islands, and they ended up just cooperating and not killing each other and not dying. And a year later, they get rescued, and everybody was alive. Nobody ate Piggy.
Well, the reason I did it that way is because I made half the group bullies.
Okay.
And the main character, I can't remember their names all right now because it's been so long. And basically it turns into a turf war.
Okay.
And it just slowly escalated from there.
I wonder if that's public domain.
Oh, I don't know. That's a great question.
I know like that every year you get new features. I'm curious. It was first published in 1954, so probably not.
I was about to say, I don't think so.
That'd have been cool if you could have actually taken that concept and like reimagined it, right?
Yeah.
As the ladies of the flies, I guess.
I mean, it'd still be technically Lord of the Flies. It could still work because technically lords and, well, maybe, I don't know. No, you're right, ladies of the flies.
If you change the from lord to lady, you manage expectations, I would think.
Yeah, that's true.
So did you just grow up loving like speculative fiction? Because you mentioned you watched Star Trek with your family.
We watched, so Star Trek was always on because my mom would just leave it on that channel and just never turn it off, that channel. But during Christmas, even to now that we're adults, she still plays, while we're setting up the Christmas tree and stuff like that, she still plays the whole Lord of the Rings marathon every Christmas.
Unabridged or no?
All of it, like uncut, everything.
Okay, I like her already. She wins points.
And then once we get through all those, we start The Hobbit.
Okay. Yeah, the 3 books get one, get 3 movies. One book is like I never understood how The Hobbit got 3 movies and Lord of the Rings did not get it more.
I didn't understand it either.
Although I will say Peter Jackson with Lord of the Rings has raised the bar so high for fantasy movies that like it's just not fair to everyone else. Like when I watched the Rings of Power that I think Amazon Prime did it.
Yep.
For Star Wars, or excuse me, for Lord of the Rings universe, and then I watched
the original.
No, I compared that to Lord of the Rings, and then I compared Wheel of Time series to Lord of the Rings. Just the costuming alone, it was just like it felt like going from Lord of the Rings to those was like watching a professional movie to watching High School Drama Club. Right? Like, because the bar was just so high. And you think 20 years later, however many years later, like that they would be able to do better, cheaper when it comes to producing the costuming.
I think it's the fact that they didn't want to cheap out back then, where now they can kind of cheap out a lot more and get away with it.
Obviously cheaped out. Did they have Where's Waldo when you were a kid?
I think everybody has Where's Waldo.
Okay. So when I watched the Rings of Power, when they land on that island, and it was one of before I lost interest, they have this scene where they're in the market and everyone's like, oh, hang the man or whatever it was. I don't remember, but there's just an angry mob in this market. And if you pause it on that angry mob, you realize there's only 12 extras, and then they just cut and paste them all around. And they didn't even have them change clothes. That's how obvious it was.
Yeah. That's so sad.
It's like, where's Waldo?
That's so infuriatingly sad. If you're going to do that, do it right. It's not that hard to hire extras.
Right? And I don't imagine you're paying them that much.
No, I don't think a lot of people don't even want, if you're being in the Lord of the Rings stuff, I don't think a lot of people are like, oh, I'll do it for very, very low because I want to be a part of the thing.
I know some of the extras, but from the historical stuff, a lot of those extras are volunteers.
Yeah.
And the reenacting and stuff. Like, wait, you're going to pay for the powder for us to go do this anyway? We'd be doing anyway, and you're going to pay for the powder? Sign me up. And so, right. And so like I've seen, and I know people that were extras in some of the military stuff, and they did not get paid, but they had fun. So
as long as they're having fun.
Absolutely. So have you always known, since you wrote that Ladies of the Flies, have you always known since then that you wanted to write, or did that surprise you later?
It came up later because it's not what I went to school for at all.
You are a rocket scientist, right?
I was a video game designer.
Same
thing. Very similar. But yeah, so it just kept going in that direction and stuff like that. And I kind of fell in love with it. And it was an outlet more so than anything. And I didn't have to worry about like stepping on people's toes because no one really knew what I was doing 90% of the time. And it was great.
Yeah. Is game design, like, I know that's a harder market to get into these days too.
So I was the script, the art, and the music. I could not do the code for my life. So, and I did not end up pursuing that after because I tried. I did try. I got rejected by every single place I applied to. And then I just ended up going and working at a different business for a while.
Okay. And then you came back to the writing.
Writing never went away. It was always there, and it just never went away. It just became more or less given the time.
Okay. Do you always tend to gravitate towards the same kind of stories, the same genre, the same setting, or are you all over the place?
I like to bounce. I think it's more fun to have multiple fingers in a pot. And also, you learn a lot about different techniques, writing different types of genres and things like that. Like one of my favorites, which I don't write much. I do write actually a decent amount of it. I really like horror. Like psychological horror. I find that very fun. But I would never probably get into that yet. Like at the moment, I probably won't go into psychological horror, but I do enjoy little bits of it in other things. And so I twist it into other stories.
Okay. Do you prefer certain tropes or themes in the stories that you write?
I always try to keep things decently positive. And it's always tropes and themes. Like, what do you mean?
So, like, I write military science fiction and now some military fantasy, and I like the concept of the found family, which essentially is any squad story. And I love the everyman soldier.
Oh, yeah.
I find that if you're going to write the special forces, you know, it's fine to give them personality, but in reality, they're professionals. They're well trained, well-oiled machines, and in action, they're going to have a lot less personality than you would think. Not to say they don't have personalities, but that happens before the mission, right? And then after the mission. But during the mission, it's going to be locked on, which means that when you're writing the action scene, there's not as much room for that dialogue that can make it fun, right? And so, but if you get, you know, the average militia, reservist, guardsmen, you know, draftee or whatever, you know, they're imperfect soldiers. You know, they're not the best soldiers. So anything they do that's out of line from military regs and disciplines is like, well, of course, he's not the best soldier. We knew that, right? So it gives you room to explore the people behind the rifle, so to speak. And so for me, like, I love the found family and I love the everyman soldier. I love reading about or watching the shows with the special forces, but I just don't find it as fun to write.
Yeah. No, found family is a very fun one. That's always a fun one to dig your heels into, just because you can pull so many other characters together and create this little weird conglomerate of people. And
I mean, you see a lot of that in things that involve sports, found family concept. You see a lot of it in the military. A decent number of the people I served with were looking for that when they enlisted. They were, you know, they aged out of the foster care system and didn't know what else to do. And so, like, I respect that search to find belonging. And I do think it makes a compelling narrative. You see some of that if you write are you familiar with the heroine's journey? Heroine? Yeah.
Yes, I am. Yes.
And so that essentially is a found family story as well.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
And so I like the cast of characters, even if only one's the main point of view. I think it's fun to see the party dynamics, which is why, like, you know, the D&D movie was fun for me, right? Because it wasn't just one man. Yeah, I mean, it's not a one man; it's a team, and I like that. Are there any others besides the found family that you enjoy?
I'm bad at remembering tropes.
So I know you write psychological horror. What are your thoughts on the too dumb to live category with some of these characters that are just like, yeah, he deserved to die.
Too
like
dumb to
that. Like the guy that runs, you know, away when there's a car right there and he could have just driven away.
I'm sorry. Why are you even? Most people have at least some common knowledge. They're going to see the car and think, "Oh, there's a car. I'm going to try to get into it." The dumb trope kind of pisses me off. Honestly. You see it all the time in horror movies, and it's like, there's a car, there's a gun, there's a knife. Grab something to defend yourself. Don't just lay down. Okay, you laid down and died.
Right. And so that kind of bugs. Some of these people are just too stupid to live. And so I you know, that is a trope for some genres.
I don't like that because I like my characters to have some thought process, at least.
So you don't like
there are characters that are like that. Yes.
Okay. Are there specific settings that you or character types that you really, really enjoy? So you're writing fantasy. So I mean, like, are there certain fantasy races, classes that you enjoy?
You sound like you're going into D&D right now.
Well, I'm just using that as an example because you write fantasy and you said you don't remember a specific trope. So I'm trying to suss out.
You're right. I mean, if you look at even the cover of my book, dragons, you can never go wrong with dragons. I feel
No.
like it's like fantasy, the pinnacle of fantasy is a dragon. But I mean, even still, it's like shapeshifters, which then includes werewolves and a bunch of other things in there. Those are always fun to play with because you can add such an animalistic element to them. And that's
So you like the primal. Okay.
Yeah. Because then it's more of a, what's the word? It's more of a fun game you can play with and see how far they can get pushed for their humanity before they start going feral.
For me, I know I'm a little odd on this one, but I found in most fantasy settings, I think elves are generally jerks. And so I love to hate the elves.
I feel like elves just think they're superior to all other species because they live forever, but I feel like that'd be a curse.
Yeah. Well, their kind live short. So all the people they're close to, as long as they stay insular, are going to live long lives with them. But yeah, I always liked the dwarves better. I thought they were cooler in fantasy settings than, or even the orcs in some settings where they can be kind of not necessarily purely evil.
There's very few series where the orcs are not evil.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of series where there's half insert random species, and if that happens, that means at least somebody's doing something behind the bushes. And it makes you wonder about the larger scope of society in those worlds to create those.
I mean, my entire society in my book is all of mythology, like accurate mythology, pulled into one realm, and everybody basically having children.
So you like mythology then? Is that something you enjoy?
Oh, I love mythology. Yeah. Is there any
no, you're okay. There's a lag sometimes. Is there any specific pantheon that you enjoy the most?
Any specific pantheons? I'm going to go classic. You can never go wrong with Greek or Norse.
Okay.
Just because they are so well known. Like I've been trying to reach out to specifically, I've been learning about Hindu. I've been learning about I can't remember the name of this one. I remember Aztecs. Aztecs were fun to research. And like all their mythology, all their lore and everything like that.
Yeah. I like the Norse just because the Vikings are kind of cool. And the Celtic one, like everything I grew up with, the Disney-fied versions of Grimm's whatever, my very German grandmother was not very happy with the way they, wimped out on Grimm's fairy tales because they're supposed to be dark and dire warnings on what not to do to scare you to behave properly. And then Disney basically rubbed peaches and creams all over it, and grandma was not happy. But I like the Grimm's fairy tales. I like some of that darkness.
Oh yeah.
But when you grow up thinking about fairy tales in the terms of like Disneyfication of them, when you read the Celtic stuff, holy garbage, that is dark.
It's so dark. Why? Why is this so dark?
Oh, it's mermaid, like Ariel. Oh, she just ate his face off.
Oh, that doesn't seem pleasant.
Right.
The only one I can think of right offhand is the one where it's like, I think it's Cinderella, where it's like they have the mother dancing like coals until she burns and dies.
That's a lesson to be a better stepmother, I guess.
Probably.
But yeah, so I enjoy the what about fairy tales? Do you incorporate those in as well? Do you enjoy reading about them?
So fairy tales were such an interesting thing. So I did debate. I decided not to. I decided to be accurate with like lore and mythology and mythical creatures, more so than fairy tales, because I didn't know exactly what fairy tales to pull because some of them are so interesting and I didn't know exactly which ones to pull.
The other part of that is some of the fairy tales, obviously, because they've been around so long, are public domain, and some of them, parts of them are still owned by copyright. Like, for instance, you could put Winnie the Pooh, but you can't put him in the red coat or red shirt or whatever is the example I've heard people use. And so knowing where the lines in the sand are is also something that takes a little bit of time to research if you want to use those. Specifically, like people that like writing the Sherlock stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because I like a lot of the Sherlock Holmes reimaginings. But you got to be careful which parts that you're using.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen the issues with Sherlock Holmes, and it's like I won't touch that with a 10-foot pole. It just seems complicated.
Did you see the one where they did the reimagining where I think it was Lucy Liu was Watson?
Did not see this one.
It was a TV series. I could be getting it wrong. It was an Asian female was a doctor who was sent to by Sherlock's dad because he's a drug problem, and she was sent to monitor him, and she ended up becoming his.
Oh, I've seen this one. Yes, I've seen bits of it.
Yeah, she ended up becoming his unwitting partner in the mystery solving, which was just so kind of neat to see them do that. I don't like when they do the gender or race swaps just to check a box, but there are times when it can be done well and add to plot complexities. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was an example of one. I don't know if you watched Battlestar Galactica, but turning Starbuck into a woman, I actually enjoyed the reasons behind that.
Yeah.
Because now the relationship with her and the Adama is like, oh, now there's depth to it. It makes sense. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I think the Watson as a female works as the doctor who's supposed to help get him sober. And so I don't know. I think, but you got to know where those lines are if you're going to do that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Because I don't know about how much you're making on your books, but I can't afford good lawyers. So
neither can I.
Okay. Well, I want to talk about the book that brought us here, and it sounds like we're dancing close to that line. So we're going to pause for a moment while we shamelessly shill for the woman, and then we're going to dive right in.
Sounds good.
What is Taking the Night? There's the lady lead, who comes from a secret island to live in the big city as the daughter of a mafia underboss. Add a vigilante who goes after the more unsavory bits of family business. He helps her out of a spot of trouble. From there, the stakes and the body count only go up. Taking the Night by J.F. Posthumous. Narrated by Terry K. Job. Available on Amazon.
All right. Thank you for sticking with us through that commercial interlude. And with that, we are back talking with Gabrielle about her book, Song of Ash and Dawn. So before we get started, for those that listen, we do have some families that listen to these, and they use this to sort of screen what they can let their kids read. They're always looking for new books. So on a kind of a movie scale rating, because that's what everyone's familiar with, how would you rate this book?
Oh, boy. It's like, I'd say teens.
Okay.
In the first chapter, there is a death.
Okay.
And it's kind of gruesome. So be warned about that. But
okay.
I'll just do that.
So what was the inspiration for this story?
The inspiration? So basically, my friend and I were in college, and we were across the country from each other, and we were watching Game of Thrones. And opposite time zones, everything like that. So trying to match everything was a pain. And we were sitting there watching it and everything like that. And I'm like, you know what? I can write a better story. And that's how this kicked off.
That's how most authors get started, is they see something and they think, I could do that better. Whether it's English or not is yet to be determined, but a lot of us started that way.
I feel like that's a thing that happens. It's like you see something, you're like, I can do that.
Or you say that, and then somebody close to you, be it spouse or family or whatever, says, shut up or put up, and then you have to do that. You have to write it down. Because I've seen a couple authors that was like, I said that enough that my wife or my husband was like, all right, do it or stop saying that. So, okay. So that's why Dragon's Den. Now it says book 1 on the cover, so presumably This is not a standalone story.
No, this is not.
Okay. Is it going to be a trilogy? Is it going to be a long running?
It is currently at the count with all the outlining, which again may change, is between 6 to 8.
Okay. Now, are you self-publishing this, or is this going through traditional publishing, which might make it?
We are self-publishing right now.
Okay. So it's going to be a slightly more expedited process then.
Yes, it will be.
Okay. So what is the story on this art? Like, I see, it looks like a cat of some sort and a dragon.
Yes.
So did you draw this yourself? It definitely looks like line drawing.
It is line drawing. I did try to design something myself. Didn't turn out this good because my drawing skills have gone into the garbage since I last was drawing. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to find someone, and was reaching out, and we met someone out in LA. and she gave us a bunch of, and I gave her like the synopsis of the book, and she's like, I can play with it. And she gave us a bunch of different type of cover examples, and we were scrolling through them. There was like 30, and I'm like, there's so many. And this was the only one that caught my eye.
Okay, now I'm assuming then that this lady is going to do the future ones as well, so you get continuity.
Yes. And I told her that, and I said, well, you are now stuck with me for the next however many books.
I like, did it. Now, is this book already out, or is this on pre-order?
So this book is already out. It's also on Kindle. It's also on Kindle version, so you can read it virtually as well. But yes, it is out on Amazon, and it is out on Amazon Kindle.
Is there going to be an audiobook coming out of this?
I would like to. Right now, it's not in the budget, just because it is a lot. I would like to before the second book comes out, but we'll see.
Okay. So what can you tell us if you were going to give us an elevator pitch for this series or this book specifically? What would it be?
Oh, an elevator pitch? Oh boy, never been asked that question before. Basically, if all of mythology from around the world was put into a world and intermingles for centuries and generations upon generations upon generations, and the two main characters are living in this world, getting magic and things like that from their bloodlines and learning the dangers of the world. Kind of.
Okay. So what is what can you tell us about the main characters? Obviously, we don't want spoilers. We want people to buy the book and read the book and do all the things. But what can you tell us about the main character of this story?
Oh, there's two. There's two main characters. It switches point of views throughout the book. Normally, every other chapter, it normally shifts between point of views. You have the first character, Aiden, who is a Fae elf human hybrid, and she gets her magic from a power source, and it's her learning how to control that and everything like that. And then you have Cora, who doesn't know exactly who she is because she was adopted young and raised up, and she is Aiden's best friend, and she's trying to help her friend in her journey.
Okay, now is it first person or third person for the individual scenes?
Third person.
Okay. So who is the antagonist? Obviously, without spoilers, but who would the antagonist of this story be?
Without spoilers, I don't know if I can answer that.
That's fair.
I might be able to a little bit. They are called shadows. That's all I can say.
Okay, now if there are dragons and the gods are real and they are presumably there's magic.
Yes.
Okay, now is this magic like something that happens behind closed doors where not everybody knows about it, or is this where everyone knows there's magic in this world?
Everyone knows there's magic, but in this world, it has been so many generations since pure magic has been a thing, and so many people are mixed and hybridized. At this point, magic is very rare. And so it's very hard for most people do not have magic.
Okay. Is this set on Earth or is this an alternate
location? Is set on Earth. This is set in nowadays Earth, which is very interesting to write because they have phones, they have computers, they have different things like that.
So this is Earth, but with extras. So it's modern world, but with extras.
Yes.
So presumably there are regular humans too, right? Like not everybody is hybrid, whatever.
Mostly everybody is hybrids.
Okay, so Earth with extras.
Yes.
Has that changed the technology? Has that changed the historical timeline?
It has changed certain wars. It has changed certain technologies specifically, where they're using more. So think of runes. So runic magic that they can put into basically a carved rune, and they pull energy and magic from the earth into the rune.
I get it. I dig the runes. I'm a fan. So, are the two main characters capable of magic, or are they discovering as they go?
They are discovering as they go. So, Aiden specifically gets a powerful artifact passed down to her, which is inherently very, very powerful and very magical. And Cora is just along for the ride.
Friends doing friend stuff. I get it.
Friends doing friend stuff.
So, are the holidays different? Because presumably, if the other gods are real, I imagine that changes the distribution of holidays and such in the world, which changes culture.
It does. We have not hit holidays yet. It is a thought I have had while outlining and working on stuff. And I did consider what to do about holidays and which ones to pull. But I have not gotten to that point yet with holidays. It is a good idea though.
I have some occasionally. So you said some of the historic events are different.
Mm-hmm.
If someone's reading this, are they going to recognize Earth from now, or is it going to feel vastly different?
They recognize it.
Okay. So it'll just, almost like looking through the looking glass, but it would be what they're used to.
It'd be like looking through a mirror. Yes. And it's just slightly altered. It's just altered a bit.
So the roles of the gods, how active are they in the daily lives? Is it like the fairy tales? Is it like the mythology where, Zeus is out there boinking everything and, Persephone's doing her thing, et cetera, et cetera? Or are they more standoffish?
They actually fled the realm. They do not exist in the human realm anymore.
Well, that was rude. So do you know where this arch is going to go? Not everyone does when they write, but have you figured out exactly how the series is going to end?
I know how I want it to end. How it gets there is the other question. I have the first 4 to 5 outlined and done. Mostly outlined, and I do know where I want to end up. So I'm aiming everything else to that point. The issue is more stuff just keeps appearing as I'm outlining, and I want to incorporate it, hence how it keeps becoming more and more books.
Mission creep. It's a thing.
Yep. It is a thing. But
so,
I enjoy it.
Do you have, now you did mention in the website, which we'll link to your website in the show notes, but that it's set in the same area where you live. Did you do that just because you love your home, or was there something specific about your location?
I loved where I live. We lived on the edge of the woods my whole life, basically, until I was old enough to go away for college. Then I moved back during COVID.
Well, I know some people set a lot of the paranormal stuff for whatever reason always happens in the Portland, Oregon area, and they give reasons about the weather making it whatever. But you don't tend to see a lot of urban fantasy set outside of the coastal areas.
Yeah, I noticed that, and I wanted to be different. I wanted to be in the Midwest near my home, and it's like I grew up running through cornfields and forests until God knows what time, and then people having to come look for us children. But
I mean, I told my kids, they don't believe me. They used to have commercials like, "Parents, do you know where your kids are?"
That is a thing.
We were feral kids, so I get you. I'm picking up what you're laying down. So was there anything? It sounds like you're a little bit of a discovery writer. It sounds like you figure some of it out as you go along. For all you have plans. Was there anything about this process that surprised you so far?
That surprised me. how much has changed from one setting to another. From one, like I'll go back and rework entire paragraphs and chapters. And then I go to the next chapter and I'm like, wow, that doesn't align whatsoever anymore. Because I'm very much a flow writer. So I basically put on music, don't pay attention, and just go, which is terrible design. but it's how I write.
It did lead to the interesting thing on your website where you do have music playlists for each of your characters.
I do. And I put that on there because I do that when I'm writing their stories and their chapters.
Now, are you writing it in the traditional sense or are you dictating it?
Oh, I'm sitting down and typing.
Okay. Now, one of the things we joke about on this podcast, but it does come up, genuinely speaking, like for people on a diet, are they going to hate you when you describe food, or you getting in depth in the weeds about, what they're cooking? Or are we going to be safe from a dietary perspective when we read your book?
In the first one, you're safe.
Okay, good.
There is some reference to it a little bit. It's not too much. It's mostly the characters like smelling it.
But well, some authors are just so good at describing food that it's just like makes you hungry. And then it's like, oh crap. There goes my
editor actually went through when we were working on the first one, because I was very descriptive. I'm very descriptive, and she had to cut down some of it. And she's like, why is this so descriptive? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, I'm reading this and I'm hungry.
Well, on the one hand, that's a good thing. And on the other, bad for your diet.
Yeah, pretty much. Because I think it was describing pancakes or something. It was a breakfast food. I think it was pancakes. And she's like,
not at pancakes.
Well, because she called me at midnight while editing this. And I'm like, why are you calling me at midnight, first off?
And it was you made her want pancakes, didn't you?
Yeah, at midnight. And she's like, I made my husband get up and make me pancakes. And I'm like, why would you do that?
So what I'm hearing is her husband deserves a bonus prize for the project.
Yes, pretty much.
That's cool, though. So because it's in the Midwest, presumably it's going to be the standard Americana food-wise that we're used to, unless you bring in other cultures. Because the gods are their pantheons are from all over, mm-hmm. Did you incorporate some of those foods from all over? So you kind of diversifying the palette, so to speak?
Again, not in the first book. We don't see much in the way of them cooking or anything like that. Later you see some. But
okay.
Mostly in the first one, you'll see, I think the only thing I really specifically changed was everything got like a fantasy type name.
So like if you're writing fantasy, second world fantasy, you can do whatever you want. There's no
yeah,
as long as it makes sense. If you're writing sci-fi, any changes you make, or you're so far in the future, again, you can do whatever you want. Whenever you write anything contemporary, unless it's just straight contemporary fiction, anything you change is going to have a ripple effect. And tracing all of those down in ways that make sense can be sometimes daunting for you when you're doing a world building stage. And so I am sympathetic to what that must mean for you when it comes to designing a world. Were you tempted to set this in like a parallel dimension where it wasn't Earth?
It was originally set in a parallel world. It was originally set in a very fantasy world, like medieval, and I hated it. And I hated it so much, I put it away for a year.
Okay.
And I'm like, I can't do it. No, not going to do it. And then I came back a year later because I was bored, and it was start of COVID. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just look at it and see. And then I'm like sitting there reading it. I'm like, this is not good. And I'm like, okay, what if I change the location? And it moved originally to an entirely different area again that was more modern, not entirely what it is now. And eventually it came to contemporary and modern. And I'm like, uh-oh.
Okay. Has that changed the story from what you had originally at all, do you think?
Yes. Characters are entirely different. Specifically, one character specifically changed genders 6 times, got split 3 times, put back together twice, and then a final put back together.
I would hate to see that person's therapy bill.
But it's now she's one of the main characters, you know.
So you're doing performative surgery when you're doing your edits and your rewrite.
They get ripped apart, and I feel so bad for them after the fact. I'm like, I just totally butchered your character and everything about you. Can I stitch you semi back together?
So is this a world you'd want to live in?
If the thing that is the villain isn't there, then yes.
Would you want to be a specific type of hybrid or have a specific magical power from this world?
No, I think it'd just be cool to walk around and see people with feathers and wings and horns and scales, you know? It'd be kind of cool.
Just have them avoid the South because they might get cooked.
They might.
So there have been all kinds of people cosplaying as animals ended up getting shot during hunting season.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, one of them happened in South Carolina. Friend sent me the article.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
And of course, in the Pacific Northwest, you've got all the ones that get shot because they try to pretend they're Sasquatch to scare people. But again, you're talking about hunting folk up there in that region too with shotguns, and you just threaten them like you're, big scary monster. What did you think they were going to do?
Yeah, you're gonna get shot. That's
right.
That's how people. You're dumb. You're in a hunting area.
Right. I found one article when I was doing some prep for a story where the guy jumped out in a Bigfoot suit to scare his fiance, and she believed he was real, so she ran him over. I mean, we're laughing, but that lady is probably still in therapy.
Oh, yeah.
This is from like the 2010s.
I mean, could you imagine you basically almost kill Sasquatch, you find out it's your fiance, and then you have to worry, are they alive?
He was not, and so she had to live with, running over her fiance. But I mean, what did he like? Again, this is one of those ones where, like, Darwin
what did you expect?
Right. So, I'm just saying, like, there are certain regions that change a story, and I have farming family from the Midwest, so I am kind of aware of how that is going to change your story.
Yeah.
And so, because you grew up around that, you grew up, in the woods and around the farms and stuff. Did you pull any of that in when you were writing this story?
I did, actually. Some of it, not all of it. There's a bit of it. Mainly not in the first book. And I feel bad because the first book is all set up for a lot of stuff, as most stories are when they're multiple books. But it's the beginning of opening that world and showing, hey, this is what's happening. This is what could happen. But there is some farming. There is some stuff like that out there. Yes.
Okay. Is there anything, because obviously I feel like some of these questions I have are going to be spoiler territory and we don't want to do that. Is there anything that we haven't asked that you feel like potential readers need to know about your story that we haven't discussed?
I think you nailed most of them. If you want to ask, I'll tell you yes or no.
Well, I mean, I asked you about the bad guy and you said that would be spoilers. We've talked about the world itself.
Yep.
You don't know exactly where the series is going. You have ideas, but your editing process sounds like it is chaotic enough that everything is fair game. And nothing wrong with that. You have a vague idea, it sounds like, of where the series is going to end, but the path to get there could change. Is that fair?
I have a concrete plan where it's going to end because I need certain things to happen for it to end a certain way. And the issue is getting to those concrete things that I know exactly what's going to trigger the next thing.
Okay. Now, so this is obviously book 1. Yes. When could they expect book 2? If people are,
August.
Oh, okay. So you've already got it scheduled?
I actually just got it back from the editor the other day.
Okay. So is it editing? Well, if you're editing it, so is it to give you time to start writing book 2 as you push forward, or book 3?
Book 3? Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. For these main characters, is there any level of like? Because some people like a little bit of romance in their fantasy stories. Is there a romance?
It's hinted at it in book 1.
Okay.
And it falls more into it in book 2.
Okay. Are the dragons the good guys or the bad guys?
They're the good guys.
Dragons can be handled many, many ways, and so there is lots of room for that. Now, what is the story of the cat on the cover? I mean, it almost looks like a Black Panther, but that just could be because you got the black background.
The cat on the cover, I cannot answer.
Okay. Now, for those that are shape-shifting, are they able to control when they shift, or is it one of those, they're tied to the moon?
So shape-shifting is when they shift. However, it is the animal's decision when they shift back.
So the human decides when they shift, and then the animal decides when they go back.
Yep.
Are they the same consciousness, or are they two separate entities?
They are two separate entities inside of one being.
I've seen both. The two and one can get confusing when it comes to managing a plot line. Now, do you have them sharing the same name when you do it? I've seen some people do that to make it less confusing.
I've actually, we decided specifically to change the actual text for when the animal is interacting or talking. So It's an entirely different font.
So is that so they're able to talk to each other? Because in some the animals can only kind of emotions and images, and others they're having full-blown conversations.
So the animal can talk to the other being inside of the body. So they can talk to the human or to the person.
Okay. Did you go in with because some werewolves in urban fantasy, it's all about the fated mate. Is that a trope you leaned into?
Absolutely not.
Okay. I'm just saying there's billions of people in this world. The odds of you meeting that one person.
Exactly.
Just never made sense to me.
No.
So are they made werewolves because another werewolf bit them, or are they born werewolves?
They're born werewolves. And werewolves specifically shift when they want. And sometimes they can't even shift. They have actual canine features in their human form.
So they have human form, pure wolf form, and some sort of hybrid?
Or they just don't have a wolf form and they have a hybrid form and no human form.
That must make them popular at the SPCA.
Yes.
Now, have you addressed how these shifters and other people that are part mythical creature, how nature reacts to them? Because presumably if they're apex predator species, like the dogs and the cats at the SPCA, they're going to react differently.
It depends upon the creature. There are certain creatures that react to them. There are others that actually would square up and fight with them, because I am pulling all mythology, which means I'm pulling actual animals from mythology. So think of a griffin, Pegasus, things like that. I'm just naming things off my head. What's the one I was thinking of? It's the one with like the serpent tail, the goat head, the lion head.
The Sphinx?
Not the Sphinx. It's Greek, I believe. I'm blanking on what it's called.
Chimera?
Chimera, yes. There are chimeras that are more animal.
Okay. All right. Now, do they stick insularly in? Do they only, how do I say this? Do they only group up, culturally speaking, from family groups, etc., with others of their kind? So werewolves with werewolves, cat shifters with cat shifters?
Werewolves stay with themselves for the most part, because they're very pack orientated. Whereas most of the other species are very much, hey, you're dating my daughter, you're an entirely different species. Sure.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like that of course complicates what comes out from offspring, right?
Yep.
And it just keeps things constantly getting wackier and wackier.
Exactly. And it's fun.
And then you're going to end up at a point where you're going to have to say, well, these two, sure, they can get together, but they can never have babies.
Exactly. There are certain creatures like that, yes, and certain people in there.
Are there any type of were shifters you wouldn't do?
Like rat, probably.
I read a story from a lady in my writing group, and she never published it because she doesn't want to. She likes being anonymous, but she just writes for the fun of it.
Mm-hmm.
She had one guy that was mean to this little biker dude that was just like, really like Sons of Anarchy, but not the good way kind of dude who was mean to this little old lady. So she cursed him and turned him into a werepoodle. But he wasn't even just a werepoodle. He was a girl poodle when he switched. And so, like, I like the idea sometimes of the incongruity of what they shift into, sometimes as punishment. So I just think with shifters, there's lots of room for fun.
There's so much fun.
Yeah, especially if you're tongue-in-cheek with things.
Yeah, exactly. But I've never thought about domestic dogs like that, because in this world there are no official domestic dogs in that sense.
I could see why, if you with your setup, why so cats and dogs essentially domesticated themselves around humans to serve needs. If you were a werewolf, or a chimera or any of these other things, do you really need that at that point in time to get the wolf to become the dog? And it does complicate evolution too.
It complicates everything.
Sometimes you just got to wave the I believe button and just, go with it.
Or you just cut it. One of the two.
Yeah. All right. So, we promised you about an hour interview. I got hundreds of questions and we're already at an hour, and my listeners will hate me if we go for 5. And your publicist might not be happy either. So anything else that we should know before we wrap this up?
I think we're good. I think I answered. We can always do it again if need be.
Absolutely. We can have you back when the next one comes too. So this is the part, dear listener, where I remind you to please be kind and speak your mind on the reviewing platforms. Your reviews help the right readers find the right books. So do your part. This is a wide novel, so if you're not buying it over there on the Amazons, you're going anywhere else, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Abe Books, other places I can't remember off the top of my head. You can leave reviews there as well. You can go over to Goodreads and leave a review. You can start your own website and leave a review there. She will love you forever. And she might even immortalize you in a page. Maybe not. I don't know. Do you redshirt anybody?
Have I what?
Have you redshirted anybody?
I don't know what that means.
So in the military side of things, like, a lot of people want you to write them in as a character that just gets killed. So when I have like a firefight coming up, some of my readers will be like, I want to be one of the characters that dies in this explosion or whatever. So I'll Private Joe Snuffy is now, insert random reader here. And then I killed him gruesomely on the page because that character was going to die anyway.
Yeah.
It gets awkward when they don't die, though, when you thought they were going to, and then they accidentally become a main character. That has happened.
I have not had that yet.
Okay. I don't know if it's as much a thing in the urban fantasy kind of thing. The action side, with combat, you deal with a lot of death, right? And so you end up with people wanting to
die.
Yeah. And then I know people on the horror side that one of the horror writers I know has a graveyard on his website where he jokingly lists every one of his readers he's killed and where. So it's like Bob Jones, page 12, book whatever. And it's like everybody wants to get into the graveyard. It's a running joke. It fits for horror too, right? So I got, some genres lend themselves to that. And of course the red shirt ties to the Star Trek where the red shirt's always tied. So, all right. So if we wanted to track you down on the wild, wild interwebs, where might we find you? And as usual, all of the links will be in the show notes.
TikTok or YouTube are going to be the easiest places to find me.
Okay. And that, like I said, will be linked in the show notes. And you can find us, a dear listener, on our Linktree, linktr.ee, Linktree/Blasters and Blades Podcast. Again, Linktree/Blasters and Blades Podcast, where we link to all the things, the BitChute, the Rumble, the YouTube, the TikTok, the Twitters. We've got our Spotify, our Discord, our Blasters and Blades Facebook group and Facebook page. You can email us at blastersandbladespodcast@gmail.com. Again, Blasters and Blades Podcast@gmail.com for professional purposes only, people. Save the shenanigans from Stabby Stab over there on the Instagram, the Twitter, and the email. You can support the show by going to buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Again, buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Be sure to put in the comment section that is for the podcast, and I promise I will keep my co-hosts duly caffeinated. They will drink that coffee brand coffee till they get high on their own supply. And if you want some of that coffee brand coffee, the link will be in the show notes. The discount code is Podcast Grunts. You get 10% off, and we get a little bit of a kickback. It's a win-win, people. And with that, I would like to thank you for spending some of your precious time with us. For my crazy and absent co-host, I am J.R. Handley, and this was the Blasters and Blades Podcast. We'll be back next week at the same time, where we'll indulge our love of nerd culture, cheesy jokes, and all things that go boom. And with that, thank you for coming on, Gabrielle. This was fun.
Yes, it was.
I'm going to have to check the book out now. It's all your fault.
I mean, that was the purpose of this, wasn't it?
Right? Just don't spend all the money in one place, okay?
I'll try not to.
All right. And with that, we're going to hit the end button.